Hey, welcome back to this episode of Rob's Restoration Garage. Have you ever seen those ads either on Facebook or Craigslist or wherever you buy your projects where the ad says something like, too many projects, something has to go, my loss is your gain? Whenever I see those ads, I feel like they're trying to hide something, either a crack block or something they ran into that's like way more than they thought, and they're basically trying to pass their problem off onto you. Well, if you've been following along, you know I have not touched this car in months. And part of what I found out is I had too many projects going on. I still have too many projects going on. Not that there's anything in this that I didn't expect. It's just life got super busy. But I've got some few days off, and so I'm going to spend some time working on this car. I spent all day yesterday basically cleaning out the garage because it gets piled up with stuff so that I have space to work. So in this episode, we're going to jump into continuing this body work and hopefully make some progress. So one of the things I want to work on today is this back end, and I'm going to have to take the trunk lid off, or the boot lid. I got a little ahead of myself starting with body filler. As you can see, it's really hard to tell from the video, but this is really dented up, and so I'm going to work on getting that flattened out. I'm going to take the lid off, trunk lid off, so I can get to the inside of it and see if I can pound some of that out. So the first thing I'm going to try is just use the hammer and a tool to kind of hold it flat on this outside, and just see if I can gently, little by little, I stay over the top of it, I can kind of see it popping back out. Hopefully the metal wants to go back, but it's probably been that way for a long time. This is going to be a little bit harder in this spot right here because there's a bar in the back behind it, so I'm going to have to get something to pry and see if I can pop that out. Getting better. Not bad. Even this little spot right here is where the bumper bracket, where the bumper bolts on. So I'm sure that's gotten pushed in over the years. So hopefully. See if I can knock that out a little bit too. Hopefully this will help you see what I'm talking about. Is right. See it right there? If I can hold the camera still. Just gonna keep trying to pry this part right out a little bit. Just a little at a time. I don't want to bend the support bracket in the back. It's getting better. Come at it from the other side. There. I mean, it's not perfect. Couldn't paint it just sitting like that, but it is way, way, way better. It makes it to where the body filler, just the skim coat, will take care of the little imperfections instead of having to lay, a big thick coat on it. So, I mean, it took a long time. I had to just keep prying on it and tapping on it and just taking my time. And eventually, I think it's much, much better. There's a little bit right here, but you also have to remember the tail light's gonna cover a lot of that up. I'm hoping as I pried on it and pushed it, it made this shape a little bit better because I didn't feel like the trunk was lined up. The lid was lined up exactly right. So I'm gonna lay it on there and see how it looks. So I laid the trunk lid, it's just laying on there. It's not, of course it would be bolted in up here and there would be some trim. But man, it definitely lines up a lot better here. Again, it's not perfect, but it's not exactly laying right where it would lay. But that's much better. If I went back and looked, this gap was way, way bigger. Honestly, this trunk lid needs to be probably pounded out just a little bit just to get it to square up. It looks good over here. Not so good here. Needs a little adjustment in the middle, but way, 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 way better. Yeah, that was definitely worth the time. Before I started working on the back end, I put a skim coat on this front fender and the hood so that it would dry while I was doing that, and then I could come back and sand it, which I did. I've gone ahead and did the first round of block sanding. I knew this hood had some issues, and you can see it. It's very obvious. is you have these high spots on the edges, which I think is kind of the framework under the hood, but then that creates this low spot here. And yeah, it just got some uneven stuff. I didn't realize there was a dent right here. So I went ahead and sanded it, and then tomorrow, I'm kind of done for today, but tomorrow I'll go in and skim just a little bit more on top of these low spots and see if I can get them to even out. The only other spot on the fender, I saw I kind of missed a spot right here I have to sand, is there's a flat spot right here where the rearview mirror goes. I'm sure it got bent down. I probably should have tapped it out, but instead of filling it with body filler, but too late now. So yeah, that's it for today. Man, your hands get tired and your arms get tired from block sanding, but I'm gonna wrap it up for today, and then I'll come back in the morning and put just another smooth layer over the top of these low spots, let it dry, and block sand that out too. All right, good morning. I already came out this morning and put a skim coat on the parts that I knew were low. Up here, over there, this section right here is low. I know I need to do something about down here, and I didn't want to run these two things in together to make it super thick. So I just decided I would do this part first, let it dry, block sand it, then go back down here and fix this little dent and some of these low spots here. I did spend a pretty considerable amount of time sanding out this fender, particularly this curve. The two things I've been using is this Durablock sanding cylinder. That's been real easy to use, but the other thing has been basically a piece of foam insulation that I cut because it allows me to kind of get down into those corners and keep the contour. I put a little bit up here too because I've got that flat spot where the rear view mirror goes. I'll also go back and drill the holes. I can see them for the trim pieces along the fender because I do plan on putting those back, and that way I don't lose those holes because they get filled in with contour filler. So I'm gonna let this dry. I've got some other projects I'm gonna work on while that's doing. I'll come back and block sand it, do the front, and then I'm gonna coat put a skim coat on the other fender too. So hopefully I'll get all that done today. All right, I have block sanded the whole hood again. There's really two things I've been using to do this. One is the Eastwood dustless sanding block system. There's basically, it's got a hose on the back of it, that connection that hooks to your shop vac, and it definitely works, keeps the sanding dust to a minimum. This one, the thing with this is you have to be careful about how you have it adjusted. You don't want to pull it in so far that it makes the block like concave, because then you're only using these edges and it doesn't take off as much material. I've also just been using the regular Durablock foam block, which I really like because it gives you, there's a little bit better feel to it, and it does take off a lot of material. So I do have some high spots still. Let me show you what it looks like up close. So you can see, hopefully this little spot right here where it's just a low spot that even though I'm sanding, it's not actually touching here. There's another little spot that's down here that's like that. There's one over on this side. It's better, but you just kind of can put your hand on it and feel the fall of it. And I still need to fix this little dent there. So a couple of little spots I want to dial in to make it right. Okay, so I went ahead and did another coat on my little low spots, and I worked on this little nose, and I put a coat on the fender. So that's gonna be it for this episode. There's a reason why these are not how-to videos, and that is because I've never done this before. So I'm learning as I go. Coming up, probably in the next episode, we're gonna get around to that rear quarter panel, which is a total mess because I got it too hot when I was welding in the new panel and it's all warped. So that video is going to be about how I straighten that out to the best that I can. So keep your eye out for that video.